Hello friends and enemies, welcome back to Happy For Now. It's me, Isabel, here with my September wrap up. So I'm in a different location, obviously, but in the effort of time, I'm filming over at this past Romance's apartment tonight. So, hi, this is not my house. We have an author event. Well, we will have just had an author event when you see this. So I'm very excited. We'll be meeting some authors that I'm about to talk about. So if you're new here, my end of month is when I share all my stats on my reading for the month and I talk about the books I've read since my mid-month wrap up. If you're curious on the other books I read, I will mention them in their star rating area and you can go back to the other video and check them out. So let's get right into it. First up this month, I did read 30 books. A large portion of these are manga, so don't be sitting here freaking out that I've read a ton. I read a lot of manga this month. The page count total was 6,674 for an average rating of 4.37, which lines up when I read a lot of manga. I read 5 titles from KU and 3 books from the library, and 1 book was a reread. Our age demographics break down to 17 adult books and 13 YA, 12 of which were manga. So yeah, that's about normal for me. And then format wise, I read 6 ebooks, listened to 7 audiobooks, I read 17 mangas, and last I read 7 new to me authors and 1 debut. All right, we're gonna jump right into my ratings and all the books I read in the last half of the month. Oh, I DNF'd this month another book. That book is called Squeak, A Twisted Tale. So I stopped Squeak at about 10% in due to some grammar issues. They were using weird tenses and I just was really off put when she called a man in a vintage clown-esque costume sexy, and I could not suspend my disbelief. So that was my 1 DNF of the month. I tried. I read a lot of weird books and there was weird tense issues that it kept throwing my brain completely for a loop. So we moved on. Then we do have 1 2-star read for the month, no 1 stars. The 2-star read is Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead. I read this. You will get a video at the end of October where I talk about the book and all this, the season 1 of the new show. This is the 2-star for me. It did not hold up. I read this back in 2011-ish and I enjoyed it then, but revisiting it now was very uncomfortable. So maybe watch the show instead. But yeah, that was not for me. I do not see myself continuing the series. I was half tempted because of how the show is wrapping up various books into 1 season, but I don't think I'm gonna opt to continue. Next we have my 2.5-star read, which is Eyes on Me by Sara Cate. This is a stepbrother romance between Garrett and Mia. This is book 2 in the Salacious Players Club. I am so on stepbrother romances. For me, this really suffered from the fact that I felt like it should have been more sex positive than it was, and I felt like he did not like her for most of the book, even though by the end of the book he's in love with her. I just needed a little more from Garrett personally when I read this book, and a little more interest in his potential love interest Mia. I didn't mind the step sibling part as much as I thought I would. She was 8 and he's 13 years older. He just kind of entered her life as a big brother, kind of, but he wasn't really present because he was so much older. He was in his 20s. And then now she's 23 and he's 36 and they end up banging finally. There's also like a secret identity part to this story that for me went on a little bit too long. I wish that would have come out earlier in the book, and I think he just needed to get his head out of his butt a little bit. He was not the best hero. I also really liked Mia for the most part, but again, she's a sex worker and I felt like we weren't as positive about sex work as we should have been, and like sex inclusive. It was just weird. This was not great comparatively. When we talk about praise later in this week, we talk about praise later, which I loved. So I'm not done with this series, but this is definitely one that I feel like you could skip if stepbrother is not your go-to trope. Next, for my 3 stars, we only have 2 Scoops of Hellfire by Kimberly Lemming. I talked about that in my mid-month. And we'll move right into my 4-star books. So we have Primal by Jessica Gaziella, which I gave 4 stars. Little Green Vines by Britt Andrews, which I also gave 4 stars. That's a sapphic monster romance. Both of those are in my mid-month wrap-up. I also finished Homicide and Hollow Hollow by Mia P. Manasala. I think I got that right. This is a cozy mystery, food-based cozy. I really like this series. I think if you haven't read Arsenic and Adobo, you should definitely give it a try. There is some fat phobia in these books, but this one was really fun. I had a fun time trying to figure out who was involved in the mystery and why they were killing people, and I liked how it played out overall. I think it was a really fun book, but I don't think it was as fun as the first book. I'm still curious to read the new one when it comes out in October. But yeah, if you're looking for a fun food-based cozy, this is great. And also it will leave you very hungry. I wanted to eat all the Filipino food when I read this book, like so badly. Then we have my other 4-star, which is Praise by Sara Cate. So I listened to this on audio and I really enjoyed it. This for me worked way better than I expected. We do have some non-con situation a little bit in the beginning when she comes to his work and ends up engaging in BDSM play as a submissive with him because he mistakes her for a new submissive. In reality, she is his son's ex-girlfriend.
I got your back.
I appreciate it. And she is there to pick up their rent deposit check that he got sent. And then they enter into this really hot age gap relationship that I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the teaching of BDSM to her and how that worked. And I liked the fact that we got kind of a window in somebody who was new to the community learning about it and someone who's very experienced doing the teaching. I also enjoyed the elements of opening the Salacious Players Club. I'm excited for book 3. Like I said, I know I didn't like book 2, but this one was great. I think this is a great, solid first book in a series. It was just a fun time all around. Oh, I am very curious to see his son's book because his son was terrible in this one. So I am
garbage.
He was garbage. I'm leaving that in. Next we have my 5-star reads. So we have Their Vicious Darling by Nikki St. Croix. That is in my mid-month wrap up. There's also a live where we talked about it. Megan is fist pumping behind me. Next, the new ones for my 5 stars are I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. I say proceed with caution if you want to pick up this memoir. I think it was really good. The first half is heavy. Read all the content warnings you can find for this one. I think there are so many it's very hard to get through them, but ones particularly for me that hit were around the eating disorder stuff, and also her mom has cancer and is abusive. Like there's a lot happening here. This was a really great memoir though. I really enjoyed it. As much as you can enjoy something like this that is so heavy, but I think it's one that's well worth your time to read, and especially if you grew up watching a lot of the Nickelodeon TV shows. So then we have Queenie and the Krakens by Alira Anna Saris. I'm probably butchering her name. I loved this book. I gave it 5 stars. Obviously I loved this book. This is a really great Why Choose Motorcycle Club romance. Don't read me lines, I'll fuck up again.
I thought you meant to say monster.
No.
I was saying monster.
No, it's a motorcycle club. I'm not there yet.
Okay.
This also features shapeshifters who are mermen, and she's like a siren. Anyways, they all can shapeshift into mermaids. It's kind of cool. But that's not like heavily in the thing, but it's about a bunch of motorcycle clubs. She is a total badass. If you are a member of my channel, be sure you check out the reading vlog for it, where I basically talked about it for 5 minutes and gushed over it. But I freaking loved this book. One of the reasons I wanted to pick this up was because this author was getting bullied when people were calling out Kate Stewart for the issues in her books, and people were review bombing her. So I knew I wanted to pick up one of her books and read it, and I'm so freaking glad I did, because holy crap, this book was freaking-tastic, y'all. Like, so good. If you like monster romance, motorcycle clubs, and white shoes, you need to pick this up. It kind of has just the best of everything. There's also like a mystery to solve, sort of, because somebody from the Kraken Club has vanished. We also have a heroine who is not helpless. She does some things that allow her to get out of a bad situation that a lot of other heroines we often get in these books would not be able to do, and I loved it so much. Then the last 5-star I have is The Reinvention of the Rose by Christina C. Jones. I think the biggest takeaway for this one is it's a former assassin thief and a tattoo artist falling in love. She moves to the Heights, which is the town that Christina C. Jones has created, and is looking to get out, and she has like a rose tattoo on her, I think it's over here. But anyway, she wants to get that covered. He ends up helping her get it covered up, and she is like starting a candle company, and it's just very soft and sweet and adorable. I loved it. 5 stars. Like, Unsurprising, it's Christina C. Jones though. Like, I always love her books, but this was just a really fun premise in my opinion to have. He also is a father. The mom is still around though, so like there's some dynamics with that and some dynamics with an ex, and her just coming out of this Assassin's Club cult thing that she was raised in that I found really interesting. Gave me like Black Widow vibes, but with black love. So I absolutely loved that part. Next, we have my 1 6-star of the month, which was Ruby Fever, and I did talk about that in my mid-month wrap-up. So this is the finale to Catalina and Alessandra's story, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it. Stay tuned. I will have announcements at some point about the next Ilona Andrews read-along that I'm joining with my pals that we did the Hidden Legacy one for in the new year. Well, closer to the new year. All right, y'all. Next, we have all the freaking manga I read. So I talked about most of these in my mid-month wrap-up. You will be getting a video on Tuesday of this, but I did read Jujutsu Kaisen 0 all the way through volume 8 this month, and I really had a good time with this. I have a video coming on Tuesday for you though where I break down the arcs and talk about the anime versus the manga. So I'm not gonna go into too much detail here because I feel like I do that in the video for you already. But yeah, I really enjoyed the series so far. I'm excited to keep reading from where I just left off and be way ahead of the future anime seasons, but very much worth it. Very excited about it. That is everything I read this month. So that's all the books I read this month. If you made it this far, let me know your favorite book you read this month or least. I always like hearing your least. Those are always interesting. And if you don't want to do that, leave me a mermaid emoji in the comments. And I will have links to all the books I read as well as links to Be My Friend anywhere on the internet. And I will talk to y'all in just a few days. Bye.
Already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be. Life with no distractions. We'll get